Anthony Adebayo.
With you there, but if you're a coach, do you take that chance?
Yes.
You can reach us at the Off the Record Show at gmail.com. Anthony Adebayo and the most accurate sports coverage. Scotty B's Fantasy 5.
We're different from any other sports.
His sophomore year. Comes back and says, you know what?
And your boy, Scotty B. Yeah.
What is up, man? What's up, man?
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
What's going on? This is Off the Record. I'm Anthony Adebayo.
Boy, Scotty B. Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
Now, this is something a little different, and I don't know if we're gonna get used to it. We're gonna see. We're gonna see how it goes. We're gonna see how we feel. But this is Off the Record in the morning, baby. In the morning, and we want to try something different. Why not? New NFL season, so I figured, hey, we here, so why not?
Yeah. So look, we couldn't miss week one, right? And I know Wednesdays are going to be tough with Cam playing baseball. I know you got your coaching thing and everything, but we could not go through football season. We already missed the pregame show. Normally we get our picks, and speaking of which, I've never sent you.
You know what? Hey. So we have to we gotta hold ourselves accountable. So
right.
Yeah, you didn't send them, but I didn't remind you, right? So it ain't all your fault, right? But we will have our we'll have our division winners, our MVPs, coach of the year, and offensive and defensive rookie of the year and players of the year. We'll share that with you on our Instagram page and YouTube and things like that. We may even do a video. I don't know, but it'll get to you guys eventually. So man, week one is here. Week one is in the books, and now it's a lot that happened in week one,
right?
But, which is the main reason why we could not miss a week. So we'll get. I promise you, we'll get to Tyreek Hill. I almost have a feeling, but we got a win of the week, and we'll get to Tyreek Hill and everything. But you want to start with the rookie quarterbacks?
Yeah.
All right. So you got Bo, Caleb, and Jaden. Those are the three starting rookie quarterbacks that started week one. Bo Nix and Jaden Daniels came up with a loss. Caleb Williams, he won his debut. Wasn't the most pretty debut, but he won nonetheless.
Yeah.
93 yards. What do you think about him?
So I still think he's going to be good. He just has to adjust. I think. Okay, so you've been around football your whole life, and I've had mixed feelings about whether or not rookie quarterbacks should play in their first year. I know growing up, typically you drafted a quarterback, they sat for a year, maybe 2 years, and then when the coaching staff felt they were ready and they had command of the offense, they took over.
Right.
Now, because of the way salaries are structured, your biggest window is to play them early, right? To get them out there, figure out if they're your guy or not, and then adjust. And then if they end up being your guy, you end up putting the pieces around them, paying everybody while you have your quarterback on that rookie deal before you could pay them. And that's been what is said is the key to success. I think it's a little of both, to where every person, just because they're drafted in the first round, is not going to be CJ Stroud.
Right. Yeah.
You know, I think CJ Stroud. It's been some others that have came in and really just, you're like, man, where has this guy been? Or, you know, shoot, I wish I had a rookie like that. But then you have like the Peyton Mannings. To the reality is, like, if they play early, they may just look terrible that first year.
Right. No, I agree with that. You know, I think now, because of, I guess, the way these guys develop so young, you know, when they're in high school and college, you know, because I know we talked about this before, having, you know, personal you know, quarterback coaches and just these camps, and it seems like they have access to so many things to accelerate their development. That you're going to see a lot more young starting quarterbacks, you know, or even other positions as well. But in this case, quarterbacks. I thought Caleb was fine. I thought he had happy feet a little bit, and he had to realize the speed of the NFL. He had limited snaps in the preseason as well. So you know, at the end of the day, they did win the game, but I thought that he'll be fine. I didn't see anything to where I was like, actually, with all three of them. Now with Jaden Daniels, I thought he ran a little too much, but I'm not like other people and fear. I think that he used his legs to his benefit, and there's no big deal. I think he had 2 rushing touchdowns. He threw for a good amount of yards, and I thought Bo Nix. So I thought all three of them looked like they belong in the NFL, if that makes sense. Even though Caleb only had 93 yards, I thought all three of them looked like they belong, and that they didn't look like they were like in no man's land. So I think it's promising. Now these week 2s are going to be a little interesting. So Caleb Williams goes against, you just said, CJ Stroud. So I mean, and I think this is a perfect time for him to redeem himself, right? You know, they have I believe it's the Sunday night game.
Yeah.
They have the Sunday night game, and if Caleb just plays his game, I think he'll be fine. Don't try and get into a shooting match with CJ Stroud. Like, CJ Stroud may be going off. That doesn't mean, you know, just run offense. Don't try and do too much. And I think, you know, and he's smart enough to know, like, hey, I'm gonna let them cook, and I'm just, you know, I'll catch up when I catch up.
Yeah. So the thing with him and watching him is he's very smart, and he makes adjustments really quickly to his game.
Right.
And one thing that Hard Knocks kind of highlighted is, and somebody got on me, right? They told me that, yeah, Hard Knocks is not really a good snapshot because, you know, you're watching like edits and you're watching like tape of, you know, they can present to you what they want to present to you. You know what I mean? It's not like it's just running footage and you just get to see everything. They're going to at least highlight their first draft pick. They're going to highlight, you know, everybody on there. And I get that to an extent. But one thing that I still thought that stood out was how he accepted coaching and how he sought feedback and how he consistently works to get better. So those are traits that I look at when I look at an individual is, okay, are they able to be coached, and are they getting better to the point to where they're not making the same mistake? You know, and that's what I see with him in Chicago, which, like you said, you've got the game speed. That's one thing. The other thing that most college quarterbacks coming to the NFL have to adjust to is the speed of the receivers. You look at these guys, man. You look at the highlight films when they're throwing, their highlights before the draft, and you see those receivers are wide open in college. It's not the case in the NFL. Those windows to where you have to throw guys open in the NFL. Like you don't just get you have busted plays, but for the most part, you have to get used to throwing the ball before like the guy's actually open and being on the same page and being on the same scheme. So it's an adjustment.
Yeah. So I mean, and we're gonna see. I feel like he has the opportunity to really show the world, right? You know, the non-believers or some of the believers, that he's that guy. We're gonna see. So let's get to this 49ers game real quick. And we don't have to be here. We don't have to be here long. So I owe you a hat. Right? I owe you a hat. I didn't really believe in the Jets for real. I just I don't know. And I think this is more about the Jets than the 49ers. Because the 49ers look like the 49ers. I didn't see anything that said, oh, this team is here. And I ain't seen nothing that said, oh, this team took a step back. Now, I will say this. Watching that game, you could tell it was the first game of the season. You could tell that everybody wasn't clicking. And you can also tell that Deebo Samuel is a selfish mother. That man will hold and then got the touch. He got a touchdown call back, then went and got a touchdown. I was like, oh man. So, but the 49ers look like the 49ers. The person that I really wanted to take a look at and see how they played was Trent Williams. I didn't really care about anybody else. I wanted to see how he looked by sitting out the whole preseason and no preseason no preseason reps. And I'll admit he looked like Trent Williams. I didn't, I personally think that he got a little tired, but that's if I'm nitpicking, but he looked like if not the best, one of the best tackles in the game, right? And when the 49ers, my thing was when the 49ers when in doubt, run left. and that happened.
So let me tell you, right? Two things, right? So I was listening to somebody, and I can't recall who it was, but they were talking about Joe Thomas, of the Cleveland Browns. And they were basically saying that they played for the Browns during the late parts of his career.
Mm-hmm.
And he said pretty much the only time he saw Joe Thomas was on game day. He saw him at practice, but he never saw him practicing.
Right.
And that was just the reality of when you get to that level, just your body. You can't take all the practice reps, and it's not about you practicing, but it's you don't have as much left in the tank to where you can go out there and go through a full training camp, go through full practices. You know what to do, and the team just gets to a point to where they're like, you know what, you're the best. We don't need to see you in practice, and maybe that's one of the cases with Trent Williams to where he's just that far along in his career to where it's, you know what, yeah, you'll work yourself back into shape. Yeah. To show up the game day. That's what we pay you for. Go ahead.
Do you think that's it though? Do you think this would be his last season?
Yes. I think that's another reason why he decided to get the money that he got was regardless of my age and regardless of if it's my last season or not, I'm still the top left tackle in football. So I need to be paid accordingly. And that's what his holdout was. Like, I don't care if I'm 37. I don't care if this is my 16th season. On Sunday, when I line up, you can run left. I need to be paid accordingly. And that's why I knew they were going to get the deal done, because even if this is his last season or next season is his last season, it's still worth it. right? You know what I mean? Pay the man. The other point I wanted to make is I was right about one thing: the Jets. The Jets, I think, are going to be pretty good once they get used to playing together. But I think the reality is that they haven't played together. So you know you got to build that chemistry. I mean, you put that offensive line together. I mean, their new offensive line. They've got to have time to gel. I mean, you're playing with a different caliber quarterback that I mean, to people, Aaron Rodgers looked bad, but I didn't think he looked that bad. I think he looked like somebody that was rusty and was getting used to a new team, new receivers that haven't played a ton of football together. So now we'll see as the season progresses.
Okay. All right. Yeah. No. You know, I tend to agree with what you just said with your assessment on Trent Williams. Now the Jets, I do think that they're going to be fine. You know, is that AFC East is going to be you know up for grabs, and you know they can't fall too far behind because I mean, even though I don't think the Bills are as good, I think that it's gonna be interesting. So, I mean, I guess the other game I guess we should go to is the Cowboys. You know, let's get these games out the way, right? And then we could talk stories and things of that nature. I'll say this about the Cowboys. Matter of fact, I'll let you start.
Okay. So the Cowboys look like they're supposed to look. I think that they're going to be really good. I'm not going to get into the playoff discussion, right? You know what I mean? Like, we'll see. But it didn't surprise me. I mean, the Cowboys have been 12-5 back to back. Like, and yeah, 3 in a row. Mm-hmm. The regular season is not their problem. What I'm more surprised about is how bad Cleveland looked. The Cowboys went in there and dominated that game. They I'm not going to say they look different. I think the Cowboys did what they need to do, but my God, Deshaun Watson. I'll give you your moment to talk about your team, and then we have to discuss the Browns.
Okay. First, I thought, and people may say I'm being a prisoner of the moment. I felt like this is the best in the last four. I'll go 4 years because we went 3-5 the last 3 years, and this is going on season 4. I think this is the best we've looked in the opening game as an all-around team. You go back 4 years against the Buccaneers, we lost. That's when Dak got back, put up a whole bunch of numbers. Remember that game in Tampa Bay? I think we lost by 2 or something like that. Then another year we played Tampa Bay, we lost 19-3. Last year we played the Giants, blew the doors off, but it was just like I don't know. Here's the thing. Dak got paid, and I guess we could talk about that too. Dak got paid, you know, about 3-4 hours before the game. He got what he deserved. He got his $60 million a year. Love him or hate him. I mean, you're gonna hate him more than you love him, and that's okay. He got paid and he looked like he deserved the money, right? He didn't have to throw for a ton of yards because the offense looked so efficient and there were things where they could clean up. You know, we didn't finish a couple drives, penalties, things of that nature. But it's the first game. I thought overall, as a complete unit, like defensively, Micah Parsons is Micah Parsons, but he ain't who I wanted to talk about defensively. Overshawn, our linebacker, who missed all of last year, because he tore his ACL in the preseason, looks like a complete stud. Now, there's only one game, you know, but the way he outran Micah Parsons on certain plays. Yeah, I mean, outran him to get to Deshaun Watson. I was like, this guy, he's fast. And I think our defense is fast. Now Cleveland didn't have Nick Chubb, but that Cleveland team didn't have Nick Chubb last year and went to the playoffs. And I did hear a lot of people saying that Dallas was going to struggle in Cleveland. So I do like the way we look as overall. I just said last week, my defensive rookie of the year would be Kaysen, and I mean he put straps on Amari. I'm about to say Amari Tuma. I mean Amani Tuma. Amari Cooper. He put straps on him. So that's a kid that people should look out for. But these Cleveland Browns,
it's bad.
Deshaun, I was ready to give him like a pass because it's week 1. And then I thought about it. I was like, Deshaun Watson has been getting a pass a lot from me lately, and I don't think he necessarily deserves a pass this week. I think there's a lot of blame to go around. I don't think he's the only one. I think his O-line did him a disservice. I mean, they were terrible. And Myles Garrett got contained. That might be one of the first times I've ever seen Myles Garrett not really impact the game. Even without getting a ton of sacks or a ton of play. He normally could wreck the game just by even being a damn decoy. I almost forgot Myles Garrett was even playing. And if that happens, Cleveland is not going back to the playoffs. They need their defense to play a whole lot better. And Deshaun Watson, they got one more week for me. I give him one more week. If he looks how he looked last week, if he doesn't even show some signs of improvement, you gotta go to the backup, whoever that may be, whether it's Jameis or DT or whoever it is. You got to get that guy out of there because his confidence is shot. So with me, he got one more week. If he don't get it done in a week, he got to go.
Yeah, it's. I've never seen him. Well, I'm not going to say never, but man, did he take a fall from grace?
Yeah. And remember, so if you think about it, remember his last year in Houston, right? His last year in Houston, he went to they showed the clip of him and JJ Watt walking off the field, and JJ Watt saying we wasted a damn good year. Because I want to say he almost threw for like 5,000 yards.
The year that he led the NFL.
Yeah, and then he said he wanted to leave, and that's when all those things came out. And now something else has come out, and saying they got a video, and it's like it's just irony to me. I think it's ironic. I'm not saying that the Cleveland Browns are trying to get out of that contract, but they trying to get out that contract. It's just way too convenient, man. I'm sorry. I'm not saying that he didn't do anything, and I'm not saying that he did do anything. What I'm saying is it is just way too convenient that he doesn't play well and he got this crazy contract, and it seems like, yo, we have to save face somehow, and if we find out in like 10, 15, 20 years that it was set up by the Browns. Oof.
But the video that they got, it's from 2020.
And they already paid him. They paid him knowing that this video existed.
Yeah. So when I initially saw it, I was like, oh, I thought it was something like brand new. Or I thought it was breaking, but it's from 2020. So, I mean, not to say that makes it any better. Right. But it's to me, it's kind of old news.
Correct. Yeah. And look, I like Deshaun Watson. He's not my favorite like player, but I feel like, you know, I was a Deshaun Watson defender, right? Because I was like, why is it? Something just didn't smell right, right? So it just seemed something kind of weird. And again, if he did these things, then yeah, he should get punished how he got punished, or even worse. But you know, we don't have to rehash that whole thing. We had discussions about that a few years ago. And if he did do these things, then you know, you got to get punished. So, you ready for the winner of the week?
Yes, a couple of different winners of the week I have. Yes.
Oh boy. Yeah. Let the games begin. All right.
No, you're a winner. No, you're a winner. No, you're a winner. No, you're a winner.
Scott. You on mute. There you go.
Yeah, I was trying to get off mute. All right, so look, we're going to get to the obvious winner of the week, right? You know, and I think that's going to generate a whole bunch of discussion. But my first winner of the week is Derek Bender. So most of you don't know, not familiar with who Derek Bender is, but Derek Bender is a minor league catcher for the Minnesota Twins affiliate, or was a minor league catcher. He's based out of Coastal Carolina. He's a sixth-round draft pick. He is my winner of the week because it was told that he was giving pitch counts or he was tipping hitters off of the opposing team of the pitches that were coming so that he could end the game and end his team season because he didn't want to play no more. So his team ultimately ended up losing, and it ended up costing them a playoff spot. And the other team ended up telling everybody after the game that so the particular inning that he tipped off the pitches, they were up. His team was up 3. The other team was able to score 6 runs because of his tipped off pitches. So, and I'm just going to be honest. This is one of the most egregious things I've ever heard. And I had to talk about it. And I know it happened in the minor leagues. But have you ever heard of a catcher giving the type of pitches to the opposing hitter?
Because he wanted to go home.
Because he wanted to go home. He was done with the season.
Nah, that's to me, I think, you know, just don't play, right? Just don't play. Just you come up with some sort of injury, say your back hurt, and just don't play. I'm surprised I didn't hear of his teammates beating his ass. Like, that's the first thing I thought when he was telling. I was like, yo, I don't know if he's gonna make it home. You talking about you want to go home? You might not make it home.
Yeah, they said the rest of the season he ended up getting benched, and he they had him to stay in the bullpen, but he wasn't allowed to come in the dugout.
Why even show up? Once everybody realized this, why even show up? What's the point? Because look, man, I'm gonna tell you like this: if you don't want to play, just say that, and we can keep it pushing. You don't have to do those things.
Yo, that's got to be some serious hate for your teammates.
Yeah, but my thing is, to me, he must be a good player because there's no way I'm moving you up to the big leagues. Like, no. And my thing, how are you still with the organization?
They just cut him. Just cut him.
Yeah, that makes sense. I was like, he shouldn't even have made it to the once they found out, he shouldn't have made it. It should have been immediately. And if I'm a teammate who, because you got to think, these guys, it's the more you play, the better chance you get to make it to the big leagues, right? And for some guys, you may never get that opportunity. But who are you to take away my opportunity to possibly get an opportunity? And because you want to go home, just go home. Don't include us in your BS. But yeah, man. Well, it's good that he got cut. His career is probably over. Yeah, I don't know who, because people talk, and yeah, I don't know. And what's his name again? Let's
Derek
get him. Derek. First of all, pause on the name, okay?
Oh,
okay.
When I like read this story, I thought about Adam Sandler. All right, I'm gonna tell you why I thought about Adam Sandler. This story, it sounds like a movie, right? It sounds like you can fast forward like 10 or 15 years later, and you see this guy. He's like a janitor somewhere. Huh?
Telling his story.
Yeah, being played by Adam Sandler. It's like, oh man.
Yeah. So, I winner number 2.
Winner number 2 has got to be Miami-Dade Police Department, or the police officers that was involved in the traffic stop of Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
I mean, my God, that video is disgusting. Disgusting.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That video is disgusting. Now, I like what Tyreek Hill said.
Well, let's talk about let's before we get to that, let's talk about the whole situation. Let's get to what the reason why he said what he said.
Okay, so he was stopped for speeding.
Right.
Now the cop went and knocked on his window. Now I am with Tyreek Hill is he didn't have to knock on his window like that. It was a very, very, very nice call. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, most people, when you see the police is coming up, I'm going to roll my window now. Like, you don't need to knock on my window.
Correct.
Where Tyreek Hill was wrong, in my opinion, and this might be only my opinion, is when he rolled his window back up, which most of us, and right, wrong, or indifferent, that doesn't play out well for people of color.
Correct.
With the police. I mean, I would never have thought they even did that. I know you probably wouldn't have did that because you already know, like, once you get on the police bad side, it's over. And
correct.
What's more scary, and what Tyreek Hill has to understand is the way that officer, in my opinion, was acting, he would have killed Tyreek Hill in any other situation. Like that's the type of officer that is the most dangerous, because that's the type of officer that is more likely to kill you for not complying.
Mm-hmm.
So, after he rolled his window up, the officer was upset, opened the door, and they removed him from his vehicle. which I thought was a bit much. Then they attempted to restrain him. And you know, they hog tied him, sat him down, was forcing him to sit down, and they got aggressive with anybody that was watching, anybody that was talking, and it was just very disgusting. The way they treated Jonnu Smith, I guess Campbell was out there. They were witnesses. I mean, it was just a bad look, considering they had on body cams. So they had on body cams and was acting like this. Imagine if they didn't have on body cams.
So you're right. That's so the first when I first saw this video, and I normally tend to not watch some of these things or out, but I've watched this video a number of times. The first thing I thought about was this dude used to get picked on when he was in school, and picked on probably by an athlete or somebody that looked like Tyreek Hill. And this was his moment to get some get back and to, because you can correct me if I'm wrong. You were in the military, and things of that nature. I've always been told, or known, the cops that I've known, state that cops are supposed to de-escalate a situation. Like that's their job, is to de-escalate any sort of situation that's getting out of hand. To me, it seemed like they were escalating the situation by just doing too much, and it's unfortunate because, again, one, it was in Florida, right? But and I don't put anything past the state of Florida. I'm sorry. I've stated many a times, maybe not on the show, maybe on the show, I would never live in Florida. It's just one place where I went and I go visit here and there if I need to, go into a game or whatever. But I couldn't live in Florida because, I already have trust issues, and we've seen way too many times Florida. It's they just different. More than Texas, but I wouldn't live in Florida because of things like that, right? We see it way too much. Black people get pulled over and somehow, some way, either end up in some handcuffs or even worse, and it's unfortunate because yeah, was Tyreek Hill correct or right in fully in the situation? No. But nothing that he did deserved he deserved to get a knee in the back, talked to the way he was talked to, talking about stop crying, boy, or stop crying, forcing him down even when he told them that he just had surgery on his knee. To me, there was so many, and I don't know all the laws. I know some, and the good thing is we got Google, but I could tell you that he was mistreated, whether it was racial driven or not. He was mistreated, and yes, he shouldn't have rolled the window up. Me personally, you don't even, like you say, you ain't even gonna have that opportunity to knock on my window. Now, if it's bad weather, that's totally different. But you ain't gonna have no opportunity, because whether I'm in a 2-door, a 4-door, all them windows is coming down. You know what I'm saying? It ain't even, you don't even listen. We were taught this at a very young age, way before I had my license. When you get pulled over, put all the windows down, let your hands be visible, and ask questions as far as can I go get my license? Can I get my registration? Whatever. And it's not, and again, it's not being a punk. It's just honestly, it's really being smart, because
it's the way that the police operate.
Yeah,
like literally. So this may sound bad, and I was explaining this to somebody else of a different race. Black men expect to be treated like that by the police if we piss them off. So, like you just said, we're taught very early, or a lot of us have been pulled over, is just comply. Don't say nothing to them. Don't get into any arguments. Don't talk back. Don't say anything, because they're going to make your life a living hell. Like you learn pretty early, like this ain't the movies. Like literally,
Right.
if you catch the wrong cop, at bare minimum, a good confrontation is you're walking away with just a ticket and you're going about your day. But we all know that if they start to not like you, they will start to do little dumb stuff like inconvenience you, to where they may tow your car. They may find some reason to tow your car, or to make give you other tickets and pile on tickets, to where it becomes a nuisance. So you're like, you know what? I don't even want to be bothered with that. Tyreek Hill for a second forgot that he's not exempt from the rules.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the reality of policing in the United States. What I like about the video is it doesn't represent all officers, but it highlighted that we have a problem with policing in America. And we have a problem with who we vet to be police in America, because it is clear that those individuals, bad day or no bad day, do not deserve to have a badge. Now, I don't know what's going to come. I'm pretty sure that they're going to end up losing their jobs, but I'm pretty sure too that nothing in their training teaches them to do that, or that is the correct way to conduct like a traffic stop. Because to your point, de-escalation is always the first option. That's police training, that's riot training, there's military training, and there's ways that you can like do that, right? You know what I mean? There's ways that you can go about doing that. But disrespecting somebody, you said that you thought that the guy was picked on. I saw jealousy. I saw jealousy that wasn't real. And that was a black man driving that car that probably makes more in a week, because
not a week, in a quarter.
In the quarter. This was strange too, right? For them to be that close to the stadium. You didn't know who Tyreek Hill was? Like, are y'all Buffalo Bills fans? Like it was crazy that they didn't know who Tyreek Hill was, or they knew and just didn't care.
They didn't care. They wanted to prove a point. So again, obviously, I'm not as famous or as well known as Tyreek Hill, right? I think we all know this. But two separate situations in the same county or whatever. There was one time, just if you know who I am, if you know me, I go to MGM. I like going to MGM. I like going to the casino. So one night went to MGM, coming home, it was kind of late. And got pulled over, got to my exit, got pulled over, and it was like, again, I don't know if it was a bad day. And if you know me, I ain't got a lot to say to the police, but for whatever reason, this day, it just seemed a little different. And I get pulled over, literally right by I am probably half a mile, not even half a mile. So from my home, I get pulled over, and the cop is just nasty with me from the beginning. And I'm like, God, what is going on? Why? It's 2:00 in the morning. I just want to go home. Like, what's going on? So off the top, he's just attitude. And me, it's like I was trying to de-escalate. Like, I don't know what's going on, but here's my information. Was if you don't mind me asking, why was I pulled over? Don't worry about why you was pulled over. I'll let you know. And it's like, whoa, what is happening? So it was one of those where it got to the point where they wanted to, there was a mix up in the system, and instead of just following me to my house, they want to tow my car. Now, mind you, now at this point they're trying to make it an inconvenience for me, and I'm like, yo, what is happening right now? Like, why are they doing this early in the morning? So they towed my car, and it was a holiday weekend, Scott. So it was like a Friday before Labor Day. So, you know, a lot of these places don't open on Saturday, and I couldn't get the things corrected until Tuesday because it was a holiday weekend. They wasn't DMV wasn't open that Saturday. It was madness. So instead of him just giving me a ticket and letting me and even following me, because I literally that was that close to my house, he got my car towed and had me waiting. And I won't lie, I was upset and I could have went to jail that night because I was that upset, because it was like, what in the world is happening? But I realized again, I have the skin color that I have. There's nothing that I can do with that. Let me just I'll fight this. I'll fight this later. So then another scenario, leaving same county, going to practice, I get pulled over. And this time he said I was speeding. But this cop was totally different. Again, the same county, different situation. And I was actually in the wrong. I was like, you know, you cruising. I'm listening to more. I probably was listening to First Take, arguing with them, whatever. But he was cool. He was like, you know, and then and I was like, I'm going to court. So I went to court. He told the judge everything. He complied. He was respectful. He didn't give me a hard time. And the judge lowered it to I barely had to pay. I just had to pay like court costs. So it's like, we know that there's good cops, right? You know, we know that there's good cops. So maybe even the guys that were with him probably would have handled the situation differently. But this one particular cop was acting like a complete jerk and knew he had the power and was abusing his power because he wanted to, or because, like you say, he may have had a bad day. And that's the part that's unfortunate, because we are human. We're gonna have bad days. We can't take it out on the next person because we have a bad day. Like being a grown-up, you should be able to have a bad day and still deal with people, you know, regularly, you know, and he just, I don't know, that I don't know if those guys are gonna lose their jobs though. And that's the problem too. Like I think one is, or they all might be.
Administratively, one's not or whatnot, because what's going to save them a little bit is the fact that he rolled his window up. So I'm not going to play devil's advocate because I feel like those cops were totally in the wrong. Mm-hmm. But the argument that they're going to try to make is we were trying to do a routine traffic stop and he didn't comply. And we didn't know who he was. We just assumed that he was a regular person. We don't know if the vehicle's stolen. We don't know what it is. Our first instinct is he didn't want to comply. You know what I mean? And that's where Tyreek Hill's got to realize too, you're a black man driving a very nice car that's speeding. So if you go to where, you know, they want to see your registration, they're already assuming the worst. Like, they're not assuming that that's your car. They're assuming, you know, it's a bias, right? And you can see the bias the way he was knocking on the window. Like, he felt like this was a stolen vehicle at bare minimum. And he was going to probably have to run your stuff. he probably would have saw your license and eventually calmed down, like, oh shit, this is Tyreek Hill, blah, 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 and just let it go. But when you roll the window back up, they don't know if you're going to take off again. They don't know what's to happen. Now, all that stuff probably wasn't going to happen. And, it was a bit extreme and a bit overkill. And once they got him out the vehicle, like it could have been de-escalated. But again, I like the fact that he at least took accountability for that part that he did wrong in that situation.
Yeah, I mean, and he could have handled it a lot better, like he stated. But when is the police department going to take accountability? Because they didn't take accountability.
Oh yeah, I mean, this is bad because again, the scary thing about Tyreek Hill is he's got enough money to where I think he can get paid from the county too. I mean, like I said, like you said this earlier, and you're absolutely correct. I'm pretty sure that he was mistreated.
Yeah. I mean, the body cam showed like, hey, this ain't good. So, we'll see what comes of this, and I really want to keep us keep a close eye on this, because this is we're gonna see. I those cops were in the wrong, and yes, Tyreek Hill could have handled it differently, but nothing he did said, yo, beat my ass, throw me down to the ground, put a knee on my back, cuff me, and do all of these things. Like, I mean, honestly, I've seen white people in traffic stops do worse. I've seen worse happen with white people at traffic. I've seen white people get a ticket, crumble up the ticket, and throw it out the window.
So it's funny. She's going to kill me for this, but so my wife has never had a ticket until recently, right? Now we're on two different ends of the spectrum. I've had so many tickets. Like it doesn't even matter. So my wife, you'd have thought, man, she had a summons for murder, right? I mean, the way she was acting about this ticket, right? And what it was is it wasn't even a speeding ticket. It was like literally a ticket for like an inspection sticker. Like the cop, like she forgot to get the her car inspected. Cop pulled her over. Was like, hey, you're a month, blah blah blah. Basically like here's your ticket. So I'm like, all right, cool. This is easy, right? We'll just get your car inspected, go to court, and like you'll be fine, right? 9 times out of 10,
you won't even have to pay anything.
Yeah. You're gonna be good. Like this is the best ticket like you could ever wish for, right? So she's nervous, she's all freaking out. So she goes to court and she's sitting there, right? And she's listening to all the stories, right? She come home, I mean, for like an hour. She's like recapping like everything like that happened in court. And so finally I told her, I was like, look, man, I've been to court before. Like this is what happens like when you go to court. Like you hear like all the stories and stuff. And she was just like amazed. But to your point, and what made me think of that was it was a gentleman in an instance to where they like charged him with like endangerment to the police. Like it was one of them things where like they had everybody like pulled over and like got pissed and like took off kind of fast around them to get around like all the officers at the scene. It was like basically like an accident. So according to them, he almost hit one of the police officers or whatever, right? So of course they get in their car, chase this man down the road, get him pulled over, and when they pulled him over, he balled up the ticket and threw it at them.
And I bet you he was white.
He was. He was.
Yeah.
So Amira was telling me, she was like, yo, he was an older white man, and he was pissed because he was like, yo, I was scared. All them police out over there, I'm trying to get around them, and they accusing me of almost hitting them. They're exaggerating. He was like, he was just going in or whatever. And then he said, like, the officer was like, well, we pulled him over, and he refused to acknowledge anything and threw all his ticket up.
Hey man, if that was a black man, he probably would have got
black
shot.
man, absolutely.
He got shot. And yeah, man, it's just crazy, man. So it's early. My alarm going off. It's crazy, but hey, man, this is fun. We'll see if how we do.
Yeah. I'm not saying we need to do this all the time, but I mean, it's something to explore. Like, we get busy, we get tied up. Show must go on, man. I mean, shoot.
Yeah. So now, if you're watching this right now, we're probably at work. I can promise you that I'm getting ready for a football game tonight. So here's the thing, man, before we go any further, I gotta shout out my Wakefield Warriors, man. So last week we got the win. We got a huge win. I'll say this: these kids worked their butts off, and so at the school there was a 22 game losing streak. Right, we lost our first game of the season this year, which we shouldn't have. We let them off the hook, but before we got there. So a few years ago, they made the playoffs. In the end of 2021, they made the playoffs, right? But lost in the first round of playoffs. 2022, 0-10, and pretty much lost every game by like almost 50 points. At that point, I think they were named one of the worst teams because it is 6A in the state of Virginia.
Wow.
Then the following year is when Coach Martin and I got there. And yes, we were 0-10 last year. But one thing I can say is that it was completely different. I think it was we were in a process of change, which we still are in a process of changing the culture. So it's a process, so we did go 0-10 last year, but it was like it was like, man, we had leads in a lot of the games that we played. I mean, and we played a really tough schedule. I would say it's a tough schedule, especially for where we were the previous year, and pretty much 9 of the 10 teams we played were in the playoffs. So it's like, yo, this is crazy. But I personally saw some sort of progression. Then this year came, and we had our 2 preseason games, and we were sharp. We looked good, and again we let Fairfax off the hook in week 1. But I tell you what, and I know we played a DC team, but they did what they were supposed to do. It was 31-0 at halftime. They looked pretty good. And we got the win, and it was good seeing. It was so loud in there, Scott, like to the point where the players couldn't hear me. Thank God we have hand signals, but they couldn't hear me. It was so because it was a crowd. And now coming this week, we play a team, and I don't know the exact amount of times in a row that this team beat Wakefield, Yorktown. But I can tell you that none of the kids were born the last time Wakefield beat Yorktown. Like, none of them. So it's been a long time because we have 14, 15, 16, 17-year-olds on that team. None of them was born. So that's a long time. All right. So we going in there today. We going into hostile territory tonight, Scott. And we looking to end another streak this evening. And I ain't gonna get no predictions. But what I will say is we gonna win the game. I think that they're ready. I think that listen, we got one of the best offenses in our region. I'll tell you that, and I think that we're gonna be fine. So another real quick before we get out of here, another school/team group that I want to give a shout out to is they're now called Richmond School of the Arts, and they're formerly known as George Wythe High School in Richmond, Virginia. I know a lot of the guys on that staff are affiliated with the Virginia Royals, and they just ended a streak. So both schools had long losing streaks going right now. So I want to say that they lost like 26 games in a row, right? So it's been a long time, and I know those guys personally. Excuse me, and they're also changing the culture, over there. And like I'm telling you, I was so proud. Like when I saw the game, and I was so proud of them. Like I was coaching there. I was like, man, this is dope, because I know how hard that they work to try and change that culture and change everything at that school, because they don't get a lot, right? They got uniforms from probably like 5-6 years ago. It's ridiculous how like some of the city schools get treated, especially them, because honestly, a lot of people just don't care, including the AD. He don't really care about football. He's a football guy, but he doesn't care. I'm not. It is what it is. I say what I say. I just from what I see, whatever. So, shout out to that coaching staff over at Richmond School of the Arts. Breaking that streak. They have opportunity to go 2-0 for the first time in probably 2 decades. And I think they can do it. I think they have a really good shot at doing that, because these guys they coaching their butts off, and that's what when I'm talking about guys coaching, like I want to see guys like, you coaching, don't just tell me, you got all the best players and whatever, if you coaching, you coaching, I know people that's build programs, and I always shout them out. Like, if you putting kids in school, shout out to you. Like, if you a coach and you coaching for the right reasons, which is honestly put these kids in school, make these kids better men by the time they graduate. You know what I'm saying? Because then it is what it is. So shout out to those guys. Shout out to anybody that's doing something positive, and things like that.
All right. Well, shoot, man, I gotta get out of here. Start my.
All right, man. Me too. But this off the record, I'm Anthony Adebayo.
Boy, Scotty B.
We out of here. Anthony Adebayo.
With you there, but if you're a coach, do you take that chance?
Yes. You can reach us at the Off the Record Show at gmail.com. Anthony Adebayo, and the most accurate sports coverage. Scotty B's Fantasy 5.
We're different from any other sport.
His sophomore year. Comes back and says, you know what?
And your boy, Scotty B.